Okay, Joe D, thank you for being willing to share with us some more of your pearls of wisdom. So originally I was going to teach this class or teach it together with you. And then when we invited you, your message was basically that your teaching would be better than mine on this. So I was like, okay, perfect. Let's have him teach it, which I think is a great idea because every time I take a class from you in any form, my income increases. So no pressure, but that's what I'm expecting for this one.
I'm ready.
All right, well, take it away, my friend. Tell us about FSBOs, your career, how you got started with it, all that good stuff.
I know, hold on. Before we do, I want to hear the story of why everything worked out the way it was supposed to today for you. So,
because I was originally going to be the one teaching this and now you are. That's what I mean.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. All right, so yeah, let's dive into the deep end of the pool here on the for sale by owners. A quick history, which some of you are going to think, wow, that was a long time ago. But when I started my career, this is honestly how I built my business, was on the back of for sale by owners. And I was taught, learn something and get really good at one thing, like get really, really good so that you can duplicate and count on it and everything else. And then add something else and add something else. And for whatever reason, I was trying a bunch of different things, and the for sale by owner connection just seemed to fit for me. And so I will tell you that even though I first learned it 26 years ago, it has worked every year throughout my career. That anytime I have decided, okay, you know what, I'm going to turn my attention into getting some business from the for sale by owner market, I get it. And I get it from the same exact method and ways. So anybody that listens to this and says, well, that's the way it used to be. No, this is how it works. And they don't change as who they are. They don't change in terms of their approach and their thought process and what they're interested in. So those things will remain constant. I remember one of my mentors told me, he says, learn these objection handlers. He goes, because in 100 years, they're going to be the same objections. So you might as well learn them now. And the same thing with the approach for sale by owners. Their approach and their thought process of why they want to sell on their own will not change. And then your ability to help them overcome that and choose you as their agent, that's not going to change. So with that being said, let me ask real quick, why do people go and choose to sell for sale by owner? This is dual, so mute yourself and chime in. Why?
They want to save commission.
Save commission. Okay, why else?
They had a bad experience with an agent previously and thought, man, I could have done that.
Yep, absolutely. Why else?
They already have a buyer, like as in their neighbor or their cousin's uncle, and they figure they can just do it.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Why else?
They've done it before.
They've done it before? Yep. Very good. What else? Anybody else?
They had a good experience with a real estate agent and figured, hey, that didn't look so hard.
Yeah, this looks easy. Sure, absolutely, Steve. Right on. So you guys nailed them all right on the head. They go, well, that's a lot of money, and I saw what this guy did, and that wasn't that much. Or they're a do-it-yourselfer on everything. So I have you take a look through that lens, because oftentimes it's just that initial thought process that they have. And so what we want to do is we want to work beyond the initial thought process. Most agents approach like, I'm going to tackle this mindset that they have, that the for sale by owner has, and I'm going to overcome that right away. And the reality is you're not. What you're going to do is you're going to help bring down their guard and open up the possibility that they would consider hiring a real estate agent. Now, I share that with you because the ones that come in and try to bulldog them through the phone and try to really like convince them of something other than what their own belief system is currently, you will fail. You won't get very far. You won't get many appointments. But if you acknowledge and recognize the space that they're coming from and why they're doing it, you are going to open up an opportunity to have a real conversation. Now, I'll tell you, most of the magic happens when you get face-to-face. So I'm going to first talk to you about what you need to do to create a face-to-face opportunity. And then we'll talk about what we're going to do once we're face-to-face. So let's talk about what we have to do to create a face-to-face opportunity. I'm a big believer in scripts. Most of you that know me know that, right? And so what I mean by script is you've got an approach that will keep you in the question mode so that you're asking good questions and creating good conversation. Here's what I notice most real estate agents do. They get on and they want to start talking about them. Let me tell you about me. Let me tell you what I can do for you. Let me tell you how you're wrong for go ahead and putting this up for sale. And I will tell you, all you're going to do in that situation is you're going to create resistance. The person on the other end of the call, just like you, believes that they're right about everything they do. And so by telling them they're wrong, you're going to strengthen their position about how they're going to dig in. So what you want to do is you want to talk about something else. And there is one thing when you call for sale by owners, one thing that they can't wait to talk about, and is the same one thing that very few, if any, real estate agents ever ask them about. Can anybody guess what that is?
I don't know, but can I guess?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Take a guess. What do you think it is?
What they've done to make the house be better than the neighbor's house, kind of a thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's in the theme. So the one thing that they can't wait to talk about is the house. Just in general. And so my script was very simple. And it has a few little variations, but it gets to the same point every time. The approach is, I noticed that you have your home for sale up on 123 XYZ Street, and I noticed that you're selling it for sale by owner. I'm a local real estate agent, and I promise I'll make this short, okay? Or I'll say, like, I'm sure you don't want to talk to any more real estate agents, so I promise I'll make this quick. And they're always like, oh, okay. So right away, I'm letting them know, like, hey, look, this is not going to be root canal, okay? There's just a couple quick check-ins. The idea is I just want to get them to hang in there just for a second. Now, with the images and things that we have today available from Google Maps, or if you see it online, wherever they post it on Zillow or any of the other websites, you'll have a little bit more insight as to what the property has. But don't let that be the solution, right? If you're looking at the house and you can see everything you need to see, you still have to get them talking about it. So I would ask some general questions. I'd say something to the effect of, based on what I'm seeing on your ad, the home looks pretty good. How would you rate its condition? Average, above average, or does it need any improvement? Write that down. Your home looks pretty good. How would you rate the overall condition? Average, above average, or does it need any work? Here's a question for you. What am I looking for?
Are you just looking simply for engagement and for answers,
Yes.
dialogue?
Yes, I don't care which one of the three it is. I just want to get a dialogue going. See, the one thing they want to talk about is the one thing real estate agents don't bring up, their opinion on their own property. So if you want to get good at making a lot of friends, just let people talk to you about themselves for long periods of time. All of a sudden, for whatever reason, they really like you. And the same is true for sale by owners. You get them talking about it. So if they say like, oh, the home's excellent. Oh, great. Well, tell me a little bit about some of the things you've done recently. Tell me some of the upgrades, right? Get into that dialogue. Same thing if they say, well, it's kind of average. I'll say, well, what kind of things would you update if you were to update them? If it says it needs improvement, I'll say, well, that happens to a lot of properties. Tell me what kind of things are really needed to be updated. Again, it's just to get them talking. So what happens is they start the phone call with realtor, right? Like we got our dukes up. I'm defending myself. This is combat. To about this point, they start to relax. Where I want to be is I want to have my arm around their shoulder and be like, yeah, this sounds great. Yeah, I like what you're doing here. So I'm gonna change the perception of I'm here to convince them into something and more of I want to learn about your property. Okay. So I will dig in on a number of different things. Tell me a little bit about the kitchen. Like I want to get them talking for a couple of, maybe 2 minutes or so. I can sense, and I'll tell you guys that I know sometimes I can do that in less than a minute. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 minutes, but I can sense in their voice when they've completely relaxed and they stopped guarding. It'll take you time and you have to make a lot of phone calls to get to that space where you start identifying it. So just get them going enough. Tell me a little bit about the backyard. You know, what kind of landscaping? You know, if you see pictures and stuff, then bring it up. Just say, hey, I'm looking here. You got a beautiful pool. Have you redone that at all? No? Wow, you've really taken great care of that. Or yes, oh, buyers are really going to appreciate that. Tell me about the HVAC systems. Have you updated those at all? You know, again, guys, it's just to get a level of engagement and conversation. So then I'm going to throw this line in, and you're going to want to write this down. Write down the words, and then we're going to really work on the delivery. Once you've gotten enough information, you're going to say, name, whatever their name is. So I'll do Cody in this situation. Cody, this home sounds great. Write that down. Cody, or whatever their name is, this home sounds great. Now, the next part, the delivery is critical. I kind of do a little bit of a chuckle laughter, and I want to make them think like they must be out of their mind for selling it. So I deliver it like this. Cody, this home sounds great. Why would you even want to sell it? Like, I'm confused. Like, what in the world's going on here? And the only reason I'm asking that question is this is where they're going to come out with, well, it is great. We really love it, but, and now I'm going to get their motivation. But my mother-in-law is moving in. We need a bigger house. But I had back surgery. I can't go up and down the stairs. But, you know, whatever the but is going to be, and all I want to know on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is this person moving? If they're somewhere in the 8, 9, or 10, now I want to go see the property. But if they're anything below it, I don't want to see it. So I may also ask the question, once I get a little bit of that dialogue going on, let's say, Cody, we'll just role play for a second. You're going out of state somewhere. So, Cody, this home sounds great. Why would you even want to sell it?
Yeah, I'd love to stay here, but we're moving.
Oh, good for you. Are you staying in town or are you heading out?
No, we're going to go out of town.
Oh, man, I bet you wish you could pick this home up and take it with you, huh?
Yes.
Ah, good for you. Well, we meet a lot of clients that are relocating out of state. And just out of curiosity, why did you decide to put this up for sale by owner rather than hiring a great agent like me?
You want me to keep going?
If you want, but the whole point is this. I want to get the dialogue, and here's what I'm listening for, guys. This is key. I asked that question. So, you know, wherever they're going, I'm going to bring that back up. Why would you sell this by yourself or by owner rather than hiring a great agent, pause, like me? For those of you that have studied NLP, that's called an embedded command. Like me, trust me, believe me, okay? Giving them a command. So what I'm listening for, and this is where I'm going to tell you guys, this is where you got to practice. Denise and I were talking about this earlier today. Like some people think if they practice like, you know, I practiced that script 2 or 3 times, that they've got it. Baloney. You're still thinking of the words. What I'm able to do is I'm able to hear the exhale that happens right after I ask that question. And I want to hear things like, well, I'm looking, is there a lot of emotion behind this answer? Now, somebody who's sold, like they're a fix and flip guy and they're like, yeah, I've sold the last 10 myself. This is what I do. Look, this conversation is going to be over pretty quick. And I'll give you the analogy. If you were a lioness in the plains of Africa and you were surveying a herd of Thompson's gazelles, you wouldn't be looking for the biggest, the baddest, and the strongest. You're looking for the gazelle that the back leg has a little bit of a limp. Why? Because you want to eat. So what I'm looking for when I call a for sale by owner is the for sale by owner with a limp. The one that says, well, I had a bad experience the last time. Or the number one answer I heard and I hear throughout my entire career on for sale by owner is, well, I mean, no offense, you guys charge a lot. I mean, I just want to give it a shot. So if I have that answer, the just give it a shot, the not really committed, any level of not committed answer against a high level of motivation, I now need to go see that property. I now need to get face to face with that for sale by owner. And I will tell you, if you do those things and you do them consistently, you can't help but get business. And I'll tell you how simple it was. I knew every week if I saw 8 for sale by owners face-to-face, I would list at least 2 every single week. And I did this week after week after week. And some weeks I'd screw up and I'd get 3 or 4.
Joe,
But I knew I'd at least get 2. Cody?
would you tell us again the 2 things that you're looking for that out of balance or balance
Yes,
on?
I probably wasn't clear. So high motivation and low commitment to selling themselves. If I have low motivation and high commitment, that's not a good lead. That's not a good for sale by owner for me. I didn't want to go see them.
So you're
But if I think
saying
somebody,
their motivation to sell is high,
yep.
but
And their
their
commitment to selling by owner is low.
gotcha. Okay.
Thank you for help clarifying. Sometimes I get so excited I think I'm explaining.
Hey, I think it was probably me. Don't worry about it. You probably explained it great.
Yeah, right. We'll find out on the playback. Although Lacey was nodding her head yes. So I'm going to go with the confirmed confirmation on that one. So the point being is somebody that's like, I wanted to give it a shot. I just wanted to see. I've even had, I can't tell you how many times I've had for sub owners tell me, well, I didn't know any good real estate agents, so I thought this would be a good way to find them. Yeah, right, Eddie? I know you're laughing, but it's true. They're like, I didn't know, so I figure if I put it out there, I'll find out who's going to call me, and then I'll pick the one I want to go with, right? All right, so at this point, what I'm going to segue into is how to then get that to be a face-to-face appointment. So the line I would use is, you know, as I mentioned, Cody, I mean, this home sells great. In our firm, I mean, we actually sell a lot of properties in this area. So I was wondering if you would invite me over so I can come see your property and then maybe have the information on it for potential buyers. So why would I say invite me over?
Positive affirmation again.
Yeah, definitely positive. Eddie?
You want it to seem like it was their decision.
Ah, that Dave with the sneak, sliding in with some prior knowledge.
He's a big brain. He's got results.
Oh, sorry.
Gold star. So that's exactly right. It's, hey, how about you let me come over and take a look at the house? That's me begging. Why don't you invite me over? Whole different mind frame. Now it's, oh, and here's the like, I would, not every time, but I would tell you overwhelming 80, 85%, they'd be like, oh yeah, absolutely. So some different variations of what you're going to say next. Once you get a confirmation, you know, you're going to take it through. Well, I can come by tomorrow at 2 or 4. Always use an alternative choice close, right? Give them 2 options so they're not thinking yes or no. Just say, well, I'm going to be out in the area tomorrow afternoon. What works better for you, 2 or 4? Now they're not thinking yes or no anymore. They already invited you over. They're just thinking, what do they have in their schedule? And they may say like, oh, I actually don't get home to work till 5. You say, well, I can always loop back around about 6, right? Like, get it? We get the appointment. We get the opportunity. We get in the door. Now, the way I would transition this into a listing appointment before I got there is I would say, now, Cody, let me ask you, have you seen the most recent up-to-date sales that have happened within the last week in the surrounding area?
You're going to make me take notes and role play with you at the same time, huh?
You're recording this.
No, I haven't seen those.
Great. I'll bring those with me and we can sit down and review them. Go ahead and say, yes, I have.
Yeah, I looked recently.
Great. I'll bring those with me and we'll sit down and we'll review them. Get it?
Yep.
It doesn't matter. Now we've got a reason to sit down. Hey, I brought those recent sales we talked about. Okay. So this is how we're taking them from A all the way through. Now, I'm going to point out a couple of things, and these are some script dialogues. You're probably not going to have enough time to write them all down, but just absorb them. We're recording it. You can watch it again. By the way, if you want to get good at this, you should probably watch this video multiple times. If I was you, I'd probably watch it every day for like the next month, and not because it's me, but because this shit works, okay, flat out. So if they say things like, Well, how much do you charge? Or, well, I don't know. Like and this will be early in the conversation, mind you, their defense is still up. I might say something like, well, would you be willing to pay a buyer's agent anything to bring a buyer through? And then just shut up. Because they're going to go, well, yeah, no, we'll pay 3%. We'll pay 2%. We'll pay 2.5%. It doesn't matter. All you want them to acknowledge is, yeah, we'd do that. My answer is always, good for you. I can see you recognize that the real estate agents control the majority of the buyers. Okay. I want to plant that in their head. And again, you're not going to be able to write all this down because I'm going fast. But
What do
I
you
want
say?
to give you guys
Sorry.
some value. Say that again, Vicki.
What do you say if they say, no, I'm not paying them anything?
So I can appreciate that. And there's a lot of people out there like that. Would it be okay if the buyer went ahead and paid an agent for the commission? Would you be okay with that? Can an agent still bring a buyer through under that circumstance?
Yes.
Okay. All I want to know is get their mind around working with real estate agents. And if they say, well, yeah, I do that, I'd say, good for you. You recognize that real estate agents control the majority of the buyers. It's once again the same thing. What am I trying to create here? I'm trying to create in their mind the realization that real estate agents control the majority of the buyers. Is that true or untrue? Yvonne's nodding yes.
True.
True. So all I want to do is kind of help open their mind to the possibility of working with an agent in that scenario. So again, in the beginning, we're going to like, hey, this is Joe. I'm a local real estate agent. I understand you're selling your home by owner. I promise I'll keep this short. Great. You can throw in right there. Hey, just out of curiosity, are you allowing real estate agents to be involved in the sale? You can get it right on the table right up front. They're going to say yes or no, or what do you mean, right? Well, if an agent had a buyer that was looking for a property like yours, would you allow them to show it? And are you paying anything? I'm going to tell you that 90% of them are going to say, yeah, we'll pay 2.5%, 3%. Okay. And then you're going to go into the questions about the property. You want to get them talking at that point. Then you're going to switch into, this home sounds great. Why would you even want to sell it? Right? Now we got motivation. Good for you. You're moving to blank. This is happening. You're reinforcing whatever their answer was. And then I'll say, well, just curious. I mean, what made you decide this by owner rather than hiring a great agent like me? Right? So I've taken them full circle all the way through this thing. Again, now I'm weighing motivation. If they're paying a buyer's co-op of 3%, they're motivated and they've got really low commitment to being a buy owner. This is going to be their listing. I guarantee it. They will list within a week to 2 weeks, absolute tops. So now my job to get out in front of them and get to the property. All right. So I just went through like lightning speed, the crash course on how to get them from cold right up to the point of now we're going to go out and see them. Before I move into the when we see them, I want to check in with people and just see what thoughts, what questions, what concerns, and I want laser. I don't want long 5-minute story that ends in a question. I want a laser question. What questions, comments, concerns do you have? Go, Cody.
Can you just give us a feel for what percentage of the people go with you on this process versus the percentage that just really stay resistant?
I would say the overwhelming majority go with me. Somewhere in the 85 to 90% will go with me, and 10 to 15% will remain in resistance.
Okay, yeah, that's consistent with my experience too. I was just, sometimes you'll run into that one who just it's almost like they feel like you're trying to sell them and they resist just to resist. And I don't know about you, but I just moved to the next one.
Yeah, look, there's so many prospects out there, and I look again. I go back to the lioness example and hunting a herd of Thompson gazelles. If that's the herd bull, we're good. Who else in the herd here has got a limp? Denise, I saw your hand.
Yeah. So question, in for sale by owners, there's a lot of there's a lot of competition among other agents.
Mhm.
So is there a particular timing issue that has to happen? So an aged lead versus one that comes on the market, is there anything like that we need to pay attention to?
You know, I mean, if you can call them right away, great. But here's what I've learned. Every buy owner has their own learning curve, and their learning curve goes from over here, I think I can sell myself, to the realization of, oh, I need a professional. Some people, and usually based on motivation, some people, this can happen in one to 2 weeks, and some people 30 days, some people it's several months. You know, they may know they're moving and this is the middle of the winter and they really don't want to move to wherever they're supposed to go, like Michigan, until the spring. So they've got time on their side. But the learning curve, and I would tell you, for me personally, unless you got too much business, it doesn't matter where they are in the cycle. If it was a for sale by owner 2 months ago, call them today. If it just came out this morning, call them today. I don't know if that answers the question, but it's a learning curve they've got to go through. And trust me, if they're motivated, they start figuring it out quick. And I hear comments like this all the time. Oh my gosh, you're the 57th realtor to call. And I'd be like, yeah, I guess you probably thought buyers were going to call instead of real estate agents, right? I mean, I totally would understand that. I guess, you know, the reality is you're realizing the real estate agents control the majority of the buyers, right?
I love that.
That was a good one. That was actually a really good one.
Thank you, Kevin. We keep planting that seed, like you need us, you need me, right? So right now I'm opening the idea to us. When I get there, it's going to be me, or it's going to be you, whoever's going. Dave, did you have a question?
I was doing some boxing for you because that was a jab hook and overhand from Riddick on the real estate agents. But I actually did have a question. So when you roll to this thing, you're there, you've got your comps, you've got your marketing plan, you have a listing agreement in your pocket when you go to this appointment, yeah?
So when we go to the appointment, I never go hunting without a gun and ammo, okay? Right? Just like I'd never go out on a date with, no, I'm sorry, just kidding.
Yeah.
Come on, we got to have some fun here, right? So yeah, Dave, 100%. So if they're motivated enough and it's worth my time, I need to take a little bit of time to prep. I'll be honest, I don't prepare like over the top. What I want to do is get a good set of comps. I'll have a contract ready to roll. And oftentimes I would just have a for sale by owner packet in my car where I'd make a few in advance. I'd have 4 or 5 ready to roll, and I'd print out the comps and the info I needed for that property. I'd bring in the contracts. Now, a lot of times I had to spend time filling out the contracts then, but it was okay because they're like, all right, I'm here. They're ready to go. Let's do this.
Right.
You know?
You're building rapport
But
during that time anyway.
Exactly. Good question. If you have the ability to do it, print it out. Yes.
You're calling on me?
Cody. Sorry, yeah.
So if you're going to get to this later, just say, hold your horses on this, Cody. But one of the problems I used to run into when I was doing this a bit is I would do a good enough job of helping them create enough doubt of their own ability to sell that they would hire another listing agent. It was somebody that they kind of had in the back of their mind, and I was kind of pushing them to that other agent. Are you going to kind of touch on that, and how do we make sure that it always brings them back to us instead of pushing them to that other agent?
Very good. So obviously you have to create value in what you bring to the table, what your company can do or your team or whatever you're leaning on. I always say lean on the best stats, lean on the best numbers, right? So for all of us that are here in the EXP group, you want to talk about EXP being the fastest growing company, not just in the nation, but also here in Las Vegas. Like no company's growing anywhere near the speed. And so, you know, I want to create a little compelling, but we can get into that in just a few minutes. What we really want to do at this point is we know we've got an appointment. We know it's set. Now, I may ask them some things like, hey, just out of curiosity, what do you owe left on the property? Or I may leave it there. If you start doing some comps and you notice when you pull up the history, wow, they bought this home a year ago or a year and a half ago, and they paid, you know, $500 for it, and they're asking $550. Is there enough in here? Did the property actually go up to $550? Is there equity in here? Because then I'm looking like, do I really want to go? Maybe they don't have any equity. They bought it, they borrowed a second, they have to sell, but for sell by owner, they don't have the ability to pay me. I may cancel that. How will I find that out? When I start doing my numbers and I'll see there's not much of a spread, then I'll call them back and I'll say, hey, I was just pulling up some information to bring over when I come by and see the property. Just out of curiosity, can I ask you a few questions? They're like, yeah, sure. Hey, what do you owe on the property right now? Blah, 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 right? So kind of pre-qualify a little further. All right. So any other questions about before we get there, or we're going into while we're there? Okay. So while we're there, we show up at the door, right? What time do we arrive? Early. Don't be
I was
scared.
going to say on time, but oh, I get it. I just been coached.
Yeah, early. You want to be there at least 5 to 10 minutes early. Why? Well, because life happens and you're being judged right now, okay? You could run into traffic, right? All kinds of issues. But the other thing that can happen is when you get there, you need to calm your energy. You need to get centered and grounded and just really settle into the idea that you've got this appointment. Now, I will tell you, for most of my career, I had a list of affirmations that I would say as I sat in the car out in front of their house, getting ready to go, with some things like, all right, Jody, you got this. You're the man. People love you. They trust you. They believe you. You bring great value. You're here to be of service. You know, I just go right down this list and just get myself in the space. And I would say things like, they're going to hire you, and they're going to hire you at a price that's going to cause it to sell in the next week. They trust you and they believe you, and they're just looking for guidance. Let's go. Okay. Get into state, right? I'm going into the character. When you come skidding around the corner on 2 wheels, you're flustered, you're pulling your books, you're running up, you're late, ding dong, you're out of breath, you're not there. Because when they open that door, you've got an opportunity to make an impression one way or another. And I want it to go in my favor. So obviously you're going to look them in the eyes. You're going to thank them immediately. Thank you so much for taking the time to let me come over and see your home. I'm real excited after our conversation and everything you explained. I can't wait to see it. When you go in, now you are going to go into some homes. I promise you this, that they described really well. However, when you get there, they will look quite the opposite. For the ladies in the group, you probably have an advantage in this. You can fake it. So you can act interested. What I'm going to say is, even if the house is ugly, that wasn't bad, Vicki. You've been on dates where you're not interested, but you act like, oh, this is nice. I'll play along. So you'll look at it and you'll have to find something to compliment. There's too many laughing faces. You know I'm telling the truth. Y'all are laughing way too hard.
I just saw all the women go. It was great. I love it.
Thank you. All right. So I want you to find something to compliment. Now, if the home is really nice, it won't be difficult. You go, oh my gosh, I really love what you've done in here, right? If not, you're going to have to find something, because they want to be proud of their home. I will tell you, if they let other real estate agents into the home, most agents are going to tell them what's wrong with the home. Why? Because some agents believe, oh, that's my value. I'm going to tell them what they need to fix. This is not the time. Once you get it listed, you go, hey, let's go back and do some staging ideas. Right now, this is petting them, make them feel good. Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. I love what you did with all the extra furniture that you've crowded around in the family room here, right? Whatever. You got to make them feel good about it. Why? We want to, again, get the defenses back down, okay? I go through the house with them, listening to them, opening up the closets, telling me about all the extra shelves that they've put in themselves that made the home more valuable, right? Look at this laundry room. I put those cabinets up there. Right on. Good for you. Buyers are going to love that, okay? So now, after we tour the home, I am going to find my way back to a kitchen table or a dining room table, and I'm going to remind them, and I'm going to say, hey, you remember we talked about those most recent sales? Well, I brought them. Let's sit down and go through them. And I pull out the chair, not waiting for them, and I start to sit down. They will follow. At this point, They like you. You like their home. You've complimented them. You've praised them on some things, right? If you see something that's a disaster, you're going to say, wow, like this color of this wall, let's pretend it's in a house and it matches nothing. I would say, oh my gosh, you are so brave. I could never pull this off. Good for you. Meanwhile, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, once this is listed, we're going to talk about the painter who's going to come and paint this wall. But I'm not going to talk about that now. You guys remember Birdcage, right? And you'll be doing Fosse, 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 Madonna, Madonna, right? But you're going to keep it all inside. Same thing on the for sale by owner. You're not showing your hand. Wow, that's really brave. I could never pull that off. Good for you. Keep going. When we sit down, before I get to the sales, I'm going to bring back up why they're moving. Anybody have an idea of why I want to bring back why they're moving? Dave?
Remind them that they're motivated to be leaving.
Yes.
Get it. They're falling in love with the house again because you're so good at telling them how brave they are. You may have to remind them you have to leave this house.
Yes, there's some place you're destined to go. And I'll tell you, on any listing presentation, you got to bring that back up. Because honestly, what happens is they start thinking, I got to protect my commission instead of, I want to move to Arizona to be closer to my grandkids, or I'm retiring, or whatever, right? There's some other bigger compelling reason. So I'll say, oh, okay. So Cody, you mentioned you were moving out of state. You're getting closer to family. Good for you. I bet you're excited. How have you been out looking? What do you got going on the other end? Have you found anything yet?
Yeah, we've been out there and taken a look, and we're pretty excited about that.
Nice. So now all you have to do is get this sold to be able to get there.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. So let me ask you a question. Now, this is where we're going to go. I'm going to say, I do this for all the properties I put for sale. So why don't we do this together? Maybe it'll help you out. Let's talk about who the potential buyer of your property might be. Like, let's talk about characteristics. So when I say characteristics of a buyer, what am I asking for, guys? Guys and gals, this is an open discussion.
When you're asking for characteristics of a buyer, you're getting them to own the answer. Yeah, this is the buyer. This is what they'll look like. And they'll be answering their own questions pretty quick here. And so instead of me telling them something, then I'm the bad guy. When they start talking, they own the answers.
Great.
It's also good to reinforce this idea that they're probably coming to the table with an agent.
Yes. So let's walk through that for a second. Cody, we talked about your house. How many bedrooms is your home? Right now, your home.
5 bedrooms.
5 bedrooms. All right. So characteristics of a buyer who would buy your home. Who do you think would be the ideal buyer to buy your property? Like, make it up.
Yeah, it would probably be a family that looks a lot like my family, actually.
Okay.
You know, 2 to 4 kids and probably about our same ages.
Okay. And so I would agree with you. I would say probably the likelihood of you getting a retired couple in a home that large, 2-story, probably going to be pretty slim, right? Of course, an investor is always a possibility, right? Would you agree? Right?
Yeah.
But by and large, it's probably going to be another family. Now, guys, I will tell you, I've gone through every possible buyer scenario, right? So what I want them to get, and I might throw it out there, I'll say, well, what about a couple that is moving here from California? Do you think that could be a possibility? Yeah, especially if they have kids, right? Yeah, exactly. Right, so what I want to do is I want to get in their mind the different buyers that are out there that could fit for their home. What I really want to do is I want to show them how they're not going to get that buyer, okay? Because by and large, their approach to getting the buyer is going to leave a big flaw. And that big flaw is they're going to miss out on the #1 buyer type in the marketplace. Other than Dave Reichert, can anybody tell me who the #1 buyer demographic is that would come and buy a home here in Las Vegas? The most motivated, will pay the most. Denise.
California.
Yeah, relocation, exactly. So,
Ex-Cals, baby.
yeah, well, California definitely, but just we can lump it into the big bucket of relocation. They're not local, okay? So I'm going to get them talking about this family buyer. I'm going to say, great. How long have you had the property up for sale by owner now? How many buyers have you had call you? Right? How many have come to see it? Now, regardless of the answer, if they said, well, you know, we've only been at it for a week, I'll be like, wow, that long? Well, we just put it on Friday and it's Monday. Oh, okay. So you made it through the entire weekend already. Okay. So how many buyers came through? 1? 7? That's it? Well, how many offers? Oh my gosh, that really? None? You get it, guys? Everything's like, wow, that's really unusual. We've had 7, you've only had 7 people come through in a week? Huh. Well, that's strange. I would have thought you had more. Okay, just doubt drops. They're already starting to question it. So here's where I'm going to go with them. I'm going to say, listen, I want to share with you what's going on with the sales in the neighborhood. And if I think they're priced right, I'll tell them, I go, I think you're within range. I won't tell them 100%. But what I'll say is, you know, the one thing that most for sale by owners fail to recognize is that even through all the things and technology and everything they can do, that the majority of the buyers are working with real estate agents, right? And so what I want you to consider is that you're missing out on the #1 buyer demographic and the buyer that will pay the most for your home. And that buyer is a relocation buyer. So let's see, Steve, you able to unmute?
Yes, sir.
So Steve, if you were leaving here and you were relocating to another city, let's just, have you ever lived in Denver, Colorado before?
I have.
You have, okay. Unlucky guess on my part. How about San Diego? Have you lived in San Diego?
I have. No, I haven't.
You have, you have not, good.
No.
So Steve, if you were to relocate from Las Vegas to San Diego, and you could use the services, the free services of a buyer's agent, would you go into San Diego and spend all your time by yourself trying to learn the market and what areas and what schools and everything of where you need to be? Or would you go get a great agent like me and let me handle all that for you and just show you the best of the best properties? What would you do?
That's a really good point. We're moving to Texas. And so a friend of mine
San Diego was
told
the
me about a
right
good
place.
agent already that I should work with.
Yeah.
Oh, should I have, do you want me to argue with you? You're right.
San Diego, but now you're going to Texas. All right, good.
Oh, I'm
So-
not going to San Diego. I'm sorry. Oh, no, but the reality, yeah, you're right. We're moving and I got to get a realtor. I can't. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
I wouldn't find it
Thank
this-
you, Steve.
Yeah.
So the point being is that I want to create that uncertainty in their mind if they're going to another city, that this is going to be a very daunting task. And so what I'm going to say is, you know, see the downside of being by owner, although I understand you're trying to save money on your own, and good for you, you gave it a shot. You had it on the market for a week. So you tried. And most for sale by owners that put it by themselves, the ones that do sell, usually sell in the first 3 days. And then after that, they've exhausted all the buyers that they have access to. Okay. There's a lot of stuff for you guys to listen to. I don't expect you to write it all down, but listen to this recording again. Again, another down. Oh, what a cute dog. That is awesome. No, don't be sorry. That's great. So what I want to do is create that doubt in them and make that realization like, wow, I'm going to miss this. So the downside on missing out on a relocation buyer is the relocation buyers, when they're coming here from out of town, they usually only have a few days, maybe a week at the most. And then they're going to buy and they're going back to wherever they're from to pack up their house and they're coming here. So they're less concerned with getting a deal as they are with getting a good home. And yet the other buyer that you cater to is the investor. And the #1 criteria that the investor has is getting a deal. So really, even though I know you think you're saving money by going by owner, you're actually missing the #1 buyer demographic, and you're really opening up yourself to the least desirable buyer. So if I can show you that I can net you an amount of money that'll work for you to make the move, would you be open to having a further discussion? Let me show you what I can do to get your home sold. They're going to say yes. And by the way, If they say no, say, I know, I get it. Sometimes this can be a little overwhelming. Like, this is a lot you're taking on right now. Let's do this. Let me just walk you through just some of the things so I can share with you what we do that will take a lot of this pressure off and will allow you to get those relocation buyers who are willing to pay top dollar for homes like yours. Does that sound fair? And then I'm going to go into my listing presentation. All right. I know a lot of people now are glossed over because it's like, holy cow, that was a lot of information, drinking from the fire hose. We had Steve going from San Diego to Texas in one role play. We had Dog come and visit. All right.
Say that last sentence again that you said, if I can show you that I can net you
The amount of money you need to move, would it be worth your time to talk about how I can list and sell your home for you? And again, this is recorded.
Joe,
so
you were so good that I just got completely swept away and I was ready to sign. I mean, it was so compelling. It's
You're
very
not
so
leaving
logical.
town, Steve. Forget it. Not nice try, buddy.
No, but it was, well, you made me want to leave town. But it was very compelling. I mean, it was so logical that your buyer is, your most desirable buyer is working with an agent. Your least desirable buyer is looking for you.
And so we can peel that onion a little deeper on the buyer type. Like if they said families, I said, do you think it'd be a dual income family or a family where, you know, the wife's super busy dealing with, you know, the 3 or 4 kids and the husband's working 50, 60 hours a week. And they'll be like, well, yeah, one of those two. I'll say, yeah, great. The challenge is, when are they going to have time to go shopping for a home and looking by owner? They're going to call a great agent like me.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, Joe, can you go check out the top 30 homes and narrow it to the 5 that I'd want to see? And I'll say, yeah, I got you covered. And guess what? Unfortunately, they're never going to get to see yours.
Yeah.
So you're missing them both on the relocation and the best buyer locally. And I can do that with, you know, if maybe it's a 1-bedroom condo or a 2-bedroom condo. And I'll say, okay, do you think this is a retired person or somebody who's working? While they're working. Okay, so after they're busy working and doing their social life, what kind of time are they going to have available to go run the whole market? Like, you can do this with every single buyer type, every property.
What I love about this, Joe, is that you are hitting the nail on the head of, you have what they want. You are giving them what they want with this, right? Like, I mean, I'm a realtor and the thought of selling my own home it's like, oh my gosh, it's a lot of work, right? So they're feeling that at least as much as I would be feeling it. And you walk in and give them what they're looking for. It's not like you're selling them. It's not like you're tricking them. You're literally handing them what they want. And it's so much better for them that way.
So I'm going to give you, and Denise, I saw you. I'll get to you in just a second. I'm going to give you one other thing that you can do early on when you first sit down is you can say things like, okay, so who's pre-qualifying your buyers before you come here? Who's doing that for you? Right? Now, if they say, what do you mean? Oh, don't tell me you're just letting people who call you to come see the home, or they're inquiring online through Zillow or wherever else. Don't tell me you're just allowing them into the home without having a lender check their background first. Because I'll tell you right now, number one, I would never put somebody like that in my car. And more importantly, number two, I would never let them in my client's home. Because we don't know why they're calling. Okay. Now listen, I'm going to tell you right now, some of that right there is a little dirty, meaning I'm preying on that insecurity of who the heck am I letting in my house? But I'm also bringing up a reality that says, look, if you're not checking, you're opening yourself up. So like, right, I don't let anybody show one of my listings unless I get proof of funds or a pre-approval letter. Why would that be any different for a sell by owner?
You know, Joe, I don't think that that's dirty at all. In fact, there's a really good ski class out there called Seller Beware. Oh yeah, I teach that one. We talk about this. It's very subject. It's this is important to the sellers, and when they're not aware of that, it can be a nasty experience.
Absolutely. All right, Dee, I said I was coming to you next.
Yeah. You know, Joe, what I love about this, I've never really done the for sale by owner thing because I didn't have a system. I appreciate so much the systematic way this goes. In the couple of times that I've done a for sale by owner, been challenged on it, Like you just walk in and you know they don't trust you. By you asking these really quality questions and them making the statements, I feel like I'm building trust in you. Because when I tell them, you know, I'm just another one of those agents, but it's almost like I'm engulfed in you. I don't even realize that I'm in a class. Do you have a list of questions that you know you go through your mind every time, and you're going to go through those every time? Like you need 5 no's, or is it that these questions are organically coming up for you as you're having the conversation?
So Denise, at this stage in my career, I don't know how to say it other than the fact that I'm a Jedi. Like I know where I'm going, where I'm getting them, how I'm going to get them there. And based on the answers they give me, where I need to go next. But I will say that for the majority of the first probably 10, 12, 14 years of my career, I had it verbatim every single time, over and over and over and over.
Okay.
Because I would then be thinking in my head, what am I going to ask next?
Yeah.
I'm no longer in that place. So for those of you that notice that a for sale by owners resistance is up when you get there, I'm going to suggest 2 gifts that you give them. Okay. Pull out a seller's real property disclosure form and say, listen, most for sale by owners are unaware that they need to provide this to any buyers who are interested in their home. So I'm bringing this to you for free and I want to give it to you. And I'd be happy to walk you through it so that you fill it out properly. But by state law, you must provide this to any buyer who is interested in buying your home. The second gift would be like a home warranty. Here's a copy of a home warranty. You might want to offer this to a buyer because it will put distance between you and the property after it sells. The last thing you want to do is sell the home and then get a phone call 3 weeks later that the microwave blew up, the dishwasher doesn't work, the hot water heater. And for our clients, this is a free that we put on all our listings. But I'm going to give it to you and you can go ahead and provide that to a buyer. And the cost is only $500, whatever it is. Okay. So I may do that early when I first sit down if I notice the resistance is high. Okay. The game of this, guys and gals, is you can't think that you're going to figure this out on 2, 4, 5. You know, you've got to go see a lot of people. I have been escorted out of people's homes because I was not very good, but I learned and I went, I won't do that again. The point being is I knew if I just kept seeing people, getting in front of them, eventually I'd figure it out. And so what I can tell you is if you're going to take on for sale by owners, what I've shared up to you this point will absolutely work. And then you need a good listing presentation. You need to show them, here's where we're going to market. Here's the things that we do. I'm going to put it out to the network of agents that I work with. One of the stats that I've always used, because I'm a strong negotiator, and you guys can lean on the stats for the Synergy Group or EXP. You got to find out what they are. But I would lean on my stats every year. I'd say, look, my average list price to sales price is 99.6%. The average per the MLS is 96. So when you hire me, you're going to get a little over 3% more in your pocket.
What would you do with that extra money?
Yeah, and then as Cody knows, I break it to the dollars. If it's $400,000, I do 3%. And I go, what would you do with $12,000 more in your pocket? In fact, that's what you're trying to save by doing it by owner. So other things that I would do if I notice they're resistant, I might say, like I'd go back to their price and I'd say, okay, I notice you're asking $450,000 for the property. How much negotiating room did you build into that price? And I just look at them. And they tell me 20, 25 grand, 30 grand. I would tell you, most of the people are going to give me an answer. And then I will go, okay, I appreciate you trusting me enough to share that, but can I help you here as a real estate professional, give you some advice? Don't tell a buyer that. See, because that's the number one questions buyers ask me and buyers agents will ask. And you know what my answer always is? Well, we've priced the home aggressively and it's priced to sell. See, again, I'm showing them the difference. Show them a little bit about what you do. Here's the marketing. Here's some examples, you know, blah, 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 whatever your presentation is going to be. Okay, that's a different class. All right, we got 5 minutes left. I want to kind of open it up for some more Q&A. I know I've hit you guys hard with a lot of stuff, so it's good you'll get to re-listen to this a few times. If you choose to take this on, it will be good. So what do you got? What questions?
Hey, Joe, do you usually get the listing on the first meeting?
Not always, not always. So a lot of times I'll get them started down this road, and I can see there's a lot of resistance, and I'll tell them, I'll say, look, I'm happy to talk to you about it now, or perhaps maybe I can schedule an appointment to come back later in the week and we can go through this fully. Again, your ability to read people will tell a lot. If they're really resistant, I'll say, hey, let's take out your ad and let me help you tweak it a little bit. Again, it's a gift. I want to be looked at as a guy that can help. Okay? Good question, Eddie. Sometimes you just go over, you take a look at the house, this is great, blah, blah, blah. You know, you start down that road, you see all the resistance, and I would look and I'd feel the resistance, and I know they're still guarded, and I say, look, I can tell you still want to try to sell this on your own. Can I ask a favor? They're like, what's that? When you decide that you are ready to hire a real estate agent, can I be one of the agents that you interview? Here, I don't know if you guys can see me. Can I be one of the agents that you decide to interview? That's on purpose. Like, can I be? Can we do this? Right? That's a very suggestive. I'm interested. Please pick me. Right? If I've given them the gifts of the seller's real property disclosure, a home warranty, maybe I've helped them with their ad.
Hey, Joe, so is there any way to leverage? So let's say it's a married couple, correct? You go to the home, you do the presentation, and let's say either or, the husband's really for it. He's like, yes, I would love for you to list my home and such. But the wife is like, no, I don't want to do it. Is there any way you could leverage one spouse to help you out on like convincing the other one, so to say?
Yeah, but you're never going to leverage the husband to talk the wife into anything. You have to get the wife. Straight up. I mean, some people are laughing like I'm kidding. Trust me. The man has the head, the woman has the neck. Right?
Hey, Joe, have you ever come across, so our markets are different, right, here in Hawaii, but they've been talking about in our class how, so I don't know how likely it is, but that an owner might say, I'll pay you just to list it on the MLS for me, a fee. What if they came back with that? How would you handle that?
I'd say, I can appreciate that. And then I would say, do you realize the kind of challenge that that's creating for you? By the way, that is my answer to anything that doesn't work for them hiring me and that doesn't hire me full price. I can appreciate that. I'm glad you're asking. Do you realize the kind of challenge that's creating for you? An agent that just lists the property has absolutely no investment in the outcome, meaning they're not committed to getting you top dollar. So do you want an agent who just wants to get rid of it as quick as possible, regardless of price, or somebody who's going to fight tooth and nail for every penny? Because that's the decision you have to make here. You think I heard that one, Lacey?
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I've
So
heard that time and time again.
I'll mention that we do have another recorded Realtor Toolbox with Joe that was a handling objections course where we talked about objections across the board. And I'm telling you, if you implement those things, your income will increase. I'm just here to tell you for sure that will happen. And a lot of that's a whole nother class that Joe's done for us. And we can recirculate that video because it was amazing.
Speaking of another class, we're totally out of time, but could I propose that our next Realtor Toolbox be the listing presentation by Joe?
My presentation doesn't look like it used to, so I might need a little time to go back and think through what would work for a lot of people, okay? So I'm happy to do that, although I'm probably gonna need a few more weeks. I'm in the middle of a couple of big projects, but I'm happy to do it. Reichert's been with me on some, and he knows that half the time I don't even bring up anything. By the time I'm done Jediing them, they're signing, they don't know what happened, but they're happy. Okay.
So if you're looking for a topic, Denise gave a great class before she joined, I think, on using the BBA. And I think that would be a great class to
Thanks,
have.
Steve. So, all right, as we wrap up here, any last questions on this process, this thought, or anything? Ivana, you, yes, go ahead.
So Joe, if they basically, like, you know, like you said, if it has orange walls and whatever, it needs some work, and you were still massaging them in the beginning, right? When do you actually tell them the reality?
My job starts the moment they sign the contract. Okay. So I will go, okay, now that we've got this signed, one of the services we offer is a complimentary staging advice. So do you have a yellow notebook pad? Okay, grab it. Let's go through the house together. Or I may schedule to come back, in a day or two. If I don't have time now, I'll say, okay, the next step, what we're going to take is we're going to come back. I'm going to give you some staging ideas. Okay.
Cody, you indicated that you could resurface what Joe had presented in terms of objections. When could you do that?
We have the video, so I'll talk with Lacey after this, and we'll figure out the best way to do that.
Cool. All right. Any other questions?
Sounds good.
So my only other, do we have another question?
Yep, Eddie.
Yeah, do you have a specific follow-up system for the FSBOs you don't get on the first try?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, you're going to be really disappointed in my database for sell by owners and expireds, because I recognize they have a very short shelf life. I have a 1 through 31 file. And if today's the first and I speak to them today and they're not ready to do anything and I put them in for 4 days later, I go to the fourth tab and I drop it in. And then on September 4th, I walk into the office, I open up the 4th, I pull out everybody I was supposed to call on the 4th. That's what I did with for sale by owners expireds, because I either got them or I didn't. And once they listed, I threw them away. Now there's a lot of ways that people will tell you they'll hit them with emails and this and all this wonderful stuff. It's all good. All I know is what works is talking to them and getting face-to-face. And if I get face-to-face with them and I don't get the appointment, I immediately send them a handwritten thank you note. Literally that day. And I'm going to the post office and I'm dropping it. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. I really enjoyed meeting with you. I look forward to interviewing with you if you do decide you're going to hire an agent. They get it 2 days later, 3 days after that, I call. Hey, I wanted to thank you again for coming by. Did you get my card? How's it going with the sale? All right, so that's the follow-up. Has the buyer activity increased? Are you still getting bombarded by real estate agents? All that kind of stuff. Hey, if I could show you what I could do to get this home sold for you in the next 2 weeks, and you can net the kind of money that you need, would it be worth, maybe 20 to 30 minutes for me to come back by and show you what we can do to get your home sold? Right? Cool. All right, guys, have some fun. I appreciate you taking the time out. We're a couple minutes over. Thanks for hanging in there. Here's the deal. Oh, thank you, Vicky. I'm glad you took 3 pages of notes. And you had one good laughter session because I saw it. So you got to laugh every day, right? So
We all did.
So thank you. I appreciate it. And I hope you take this on and you go out and play with them. They're still there. They're still in existence. And they still need help.
Thank you,
This was
Joe.
awesome. Thank you, Joe.
Very good. Very good.
Awesome, Joe.
Thank you, sir.
Joe, that was amazing.
Peace out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye.